Elon Musk yesterday said in an interview that he wasn't planning to continue to make political contributions. Then later in the interview, he said, well, maybe I will if something changes. But he said he didn't see any reason to do it now. Lots of discussion, including, again, in another very well done New York Times story about Musk's place in the Trump White House and with Trump. It is a mistake often made when people are characterizing how Donald Trump feels about someone, whether they are up or down, to be black and white about it. And this is not unique to Donald Trump, but it is very characteristic. People will say, "Well, this person's on the outs with Trump." Well, it's usually more complicated with that. It can vary minute to minute. It can depend on the topic. It can depend on how skillful that person is in working their way back into Trump's life. There's no doubt that Musk, having announced he was stepping aside, and there's some doubt about how much time he'll actually spend in Washington. There's no doubt that he is diminished in Trump's eyes. Trump, for instance, on the trip he did to the Middle East, Musk was not treated like the prime minister at all. He was treated, as I understand it from people on the trip, at a lower level than, for instance, the cabinet secretaries, which is what you would have expected, but it's not in keeping with the way Musk was treated earlier on. And so we'll see how this evolves because he could come back and Trump could find a rising interest in Musk. But Larry, what's your sense of Musk's future politically? Because he seems to have some concern, and understandably so, about how his political profile is hurting his businesses.
I think that's accurate, and I also think that he's very frustrated because he put himself on the line. He put his name
Yeah.
on the line. He put his reputation on the line, and they. I mean, you talk about the politics of personal destruction. What we saw happen to Elon Musk over the course of the last couple of months was devastating. I don't know anyone who would volunteer to do that, but he did because I do believe that he believed in the cause of Doge and reducing waste, fraud, and abuse, and he found quite a bit, and he made many recommendations, and he sees hardly any of it part of this reconciliation package. I just interviewed Chairman Jordan of the Judiciary Committee. I asked him specifically about this, and he said, yeah, I wish there was more in there too, but we'll hope for a recension order from the White House, and that's how we'll enact a lot of the Doge stuff. But I think the Republicans on Capitol Hill should have had Musk's back, considering what he had to go through to bring all of this to light. And I think that he's very jaded right now, as many bright, young, optimistic Americans who come to Washington, D.C. end up. It just happened quicker for him.
Dan, if Musk hired you and paid you your usual rate times 10 and said, Dan, I want to step a little bit out of politics, but I want to have maximum sway in the political worlds of Washington, what steps could he take to maintain or increase his sway?
Well, I think one step is, or one question would be, do you want to have maximum impact and hedged, regardless of who is in control of the White House or Congress, which is how most companies view government relations? Or do you want to be a MAGA star, which is what he tried to do? He tried to be a MAGA star. He was on his front foot on his platform X. He talked trash. He made up facts and figures that to set a narrative to please, Donald Trump, that his own team had ended up admitting in writing very quietly on websites were not true at all. So he brought a lot of this on himself. And I think that, Trump, he has the throw weight with his wallet to be relevant. I don't think Trump will ever completely go to war with him because he owns the platform and he has a ton of money. So I think Trump will continue to be nice to him, curry favor with him. I have no doubt they'll get together before the midterms, and Elon will put money into it on behalf of the president. May not be whatever it was, 300 million he put into his race, but if he wants to really have power, he would go back to doing what he did before, which is you would build relations on both sides of the aisle, you would spread your money around, and you'd be a lot smarter about how you engage with members of Congress.
Was Twitter? Go ahead, Larry. Go ahead.
When
There
you
go.
say he brought it on himself, I mean, they said he was trying to access the payment systems to enrich himself and steal money from the federal government. They said he was trying to spy on people's Social Security benefits for his own personal gain. I mean,
Well,
what
look, some
exactly
of that,
did he
Larry,
bring
is
on
just-
himself?
I mean, that's the fringes talking, right? That was not the mainstream.
That was Elizabeth Warren. That was Alexandria
Well,
Ocasio-Cortez.
exactly. Like you hit my point. But look, Larry.
They're the guiding lights of the party right now.
Well,
That's
no,
not the
I
fringe.
I mean, look, Larry, he went online, right, on a front foot, savaging different parts of government that turned out to not be true. He loved if somebody responded to him on X, getting in their face and trashed him. Tell me another CEO in America that does that.
Well, he wasn't acting as a CEO. He was acting as a temporary.
Larry, time out. He was the CEO of 4 companies at once and doing that role.
Right. That's
that'd
fine.
be like,
So
Oh, okay.
that'd be-
Just
that'd
end
be-
the
he was a
conversation
special
right there.
government employee.
Dan, that would be as being as overextended as being on 2 different shows on two-way.
Exactly.
Ooh,
It's
I
very
mean,
similar.
Yeah.
Well, no, but I think that's the problem because the fact that you identify him as a CEO of a company when he was doing that role is part of the problem. Because what did people do? They attacked his businesses. Tim Walz would celebrate a
Larry,
Tesla stock
that
going
is-
down.
Larry, the conflict of interest, even Donald Trump, Mr. Conflict of Interest, said sitting with the Pentagon for a Chinese battle plan is effing crazy that we would allow him to do that. His conflict of interest are up the wazoo.
So you destroy them?
Enough of Musk.
But
Sorry.
you call it out.
Got to move on.
That was a delicious video experience. I think you'll agree. Now, what you need to do in return for getting to enjoy that is hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss a thing.